ni mwaka 2021. Nashukuru sana kujumuika na nyinyi. Happy to have you. It's indeed a very good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Kama umeamka, kama unaenda ofisini, natumai kwamba tayari ushaingia ofisini. Kama unaenda kwenye mjengo kutafuta hustling, wasema kwamba kazi ni kazi, wera ni wera. Kama unaenda jua kali pale, natumai kwamba tayari ushatoka, ushaelekea pale jua kali. Hii ni Wednesday, Siasa Wednesday on the tackle being the 5th May of 2021. Leo ni Siasa Wednesday na tuko na mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, Mathira MP. Hakuja tuambie mlima inasemaje na dunia pia ya mzima Kenya inasemaje. So tafadhali fika pale kama kawaida, request to join in, please like. When you like, I get to know that you're watching us, and what you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wide broadcast. When you join in, please like, share, and let us know where you're watching us from. Like, share, and let us know where you're watching us from. Naona pia salamu zimefika mingi sana. I hope I'll be able to pick up with some of them. But kama kawaida pia tunaanza na State of the Nation. State of the Nation tunaanza na nyenye. Tunawapa dakika 10 ya kuweza kutuambia kwamba mahali ulipo hali ikoje. State of the Nation inaanza. Nambari ni 0779-800-010 or 779-800-010. You can call in utuambie mahali ulipo hali ikoje. Lakini kama kawaida, kabla tujaenda mbali sana, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi tunajua kazi ni vipi. Mighty Father, we come before you, we worship you. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive today. We thank you for what you've given us to walk up to. We even thank you for the tacklers who are watching us. May you be able to meet them at their point of needs. Even as you start this program, may you be with us. And when you finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Asante sana. Thank you so much for coming in. Naona kuna watu ambao washaingia tayari, mapema pale. Naona Kusimba Desam, naona shaingia Cruz Tuzo wa Amonga alita continue. Anasema good morning, tackle tuning in from Coventry, United Kingdom. Leo tuko na mheshimiwa. I followed him on this track record. I have one or two questions for him since we are tired of the eye for promise and do nothing politicians. Okay. Kwa Chief Kemba Baba Fidel, good morning. Gerald Bito, good morning to you. Edmond Kemba, good morning. Silas Kiai, good morning. Kansala Tarus 2, good morning. Gerald Nikondani, Moses Kamau, good morning. Douglas Mbele pamoja, asante sana. Asla Kiblish Saimo anasema tuned in. Kansala Tarus watching from Eldoret. Lacoste KE, good morning. Bito, good morning to you. Sacha Legat Marin, morning watching from Nyaururu. Koech Kipkema Baba Fidel watching from Baringo County. Asante Kiblan Bogo. Asante Rashid Abdallah anasema Jeptais Tangle 039. Josea Katili ile Muhai sub county in the house. Asante Isa Kitur. Good morning, nimeingia bila amendment. Yeah. Okay. Lawrence Chege watching from Thika. Jane Mumbi, good morning. Good morning to you, Jane Mumbi. Boniface Churiot watching from Nairobi. William Wangi, good morning. Salimia ma MP apokee salamu. I'm from Katina Mathira pamoja sana. Asante sana. Cheriot watching from Karen, thank you. Ilahila, good morning. Gerald Bito waiting for Mwesh tayari yako ndani ya nyumba. Abed Pop Kapombe tuned in from Lolonge MC Kali ya chama Menokusha Kettle Deep, good morning. Joseph Nyaguti, good morning Bito, please salimia ma MP amesalimika. MC Kali, very nice representative, asante sana. Jacqueline Jebichi tuned in kama kawa. MC Kali amenokwisha, asante. Kipruta Kirwa, morning Bito kwa Viki, morning ambia Mwesh tuko nyuma yake imara. Robert Kidum, good morning Bito, tuko locked. Gitau, oh yes Yarina, asante sana. State of the Nation 0779-800-010. State of the Nation 0779-800-010. Tupige simu tuambie mahali ulipo ikoje. Lakini tukiangazia pale pia tunaangazia things ambazo ilifanyika jana pale bungeni. BBI imefika pale bunge. Speaker amesema we cannot mess with a popular initiative. Amesema we cannot mess with the voice of the people. We don't want to interview the voice of people. Lakini hayo mambo tutakuwa tukiingia kwenye mjadala. Kilio Fasinala Makao, good morning. Karibu MP Rigathi, ready to hear from you live from Kipchabo. Jakul, good morning, watching from Meru. Great show this will be. Keja, good morning, all the way from diaspora. Mwangi Saimo anasema iko ndani. Asante sana. Okay, mheshimiwa, good morning.
Good morning, Bitok. How are you?
Salama sana. Good to see you.
I'm glad to be here. I've been here before. And it's a good morning. And I look forward to have some engagement and be able to interact with the viewers on matters Kenya. This is our country. Yeah. It's a beautiful country. We have no other home. Yeah, we belong here. And it is our responsibility in our lifetime to make it a good place and create the right environment so that people can live happily and be able to enjoy life. And we in leadership have a role to leadership up the destiny of this country. And we grateful to God for the opportunity. And it is important that if God has been gracious to you and given you an opportunity to play a role in shaping the lives of your people, you do it fearlessly, courageously, passionately, and give it your all. Yeah.
This is your first time with the tackle. You'll be able to come in many more times. So nakupa nafasi kwanza usalimia watu wako. Naona kuna watu wako wengi sana hapa wa Mathira wamefika. So maybe until you give an opportunity to speak to them.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to take this opportunity to greet my people, the great people of Mathira. They are great people. From Ruguru Ward, from Kirimukoy Ward, Konyo Ward, Magutu Ward, Iriaino Ward, and Karatina. And I want to tell them as their servant, I'm on duty 24/7. And I take instructions from them. And I have tried to the best of my ability to listen to them carefully and do what they have asked me to do. I want to tell them that our development program is on course. Of course, we have had many challenges because of the state of the economy and, of course, the advent of COVID. We have some very good programs for tarmacking the constituency, but there's a bit of a go slow by the contractors because of non-payment. You know, you are aware that we are having a financial crunch in the country, and money is not available, and the contractors have not been paid. I have a company called Stelco that is building Maroa to State Lodge and also building the roads in Konyo Ward at a cost of 2.8 billion, and we owe that contractor more than 900 million of the work already done. And the contractor has sort of decided to stop the work and wait for some payment. And I have talked to the contractor, and I have assured him that I'm doing everything within my power to try to push for some payment. So we are waiting for what is called Supplementary 2 in Parliament in May. And I am hopeful that we'll be able to push some money for that contractor. And once he's paid, he can get back to work. Of course, our national government constituency development fund activities are ongoing, and we've done tremendous work in the rehabilitation of schools. Already 38 schools are done, and we have embarked on another 37 schools as I talk now. You know, DB Karatina primary school is going on, Kahara primary school is going on, Kemavara primary school is going on. And the beauty about what we are doing there, we are doing a pilot on the bottom-up economic model in Mathira. And what we have done, Bitok, is I have changed the model that was there before, where you would give a contractor the work of rehabilitating a school. The contractor would come with his or her workers, and materials from Nairobi, and just do it and go away. I have changed all that. All the schools are being done locally using the new approach of labor-based model. We purchase all the materials from the local hardwares. You know, if we are doing a Kebavara primary school, we buy cement from there, we buy paint from there,
Interesting.
buy the brushes from there, and then we employ the local fundis and the unskilled labor, our young boys and our young women, you know, and they're doing a tremendous job. And you find like the money is circulating in the rural economy, and it's being felt. The impact is being felt. I was in Karatina on Monday at Karatina DB school, where we have put like 4.2 million. 3 million has gone to the suppliers. Those are the shops around Karatina, the people with lorries to deliver sad and all that. And about 1.2 million has gone to the local people, fundis and, you know, and skilled labor. And I was with women there who are also parents, and they told me they have food on the table. You know, the money is being felt, you know, locally. And that is it. That is a pilot we are doing for the bigger picture for the country, the new approach that we are having with the Deputy President, the bottom-up approach economic model, where you really take the money down there to the people, as opposed to the trickle-down model, where money comes from top and it really doesn't reach the people down there. So I want to tell the people of Mathira that we are on course. Yesterday I was in Parliament in pursuit of my oversight role. You know, the last 2 years, some young men, you know, who operators of borders have been abducted and killed in cold blood. Wow. 7 of them so far. No arrest has been made. Nobody knows what is happening. The whole thing has caused fear and panic among the riders and among the general public. And yesterday I was in Parliament, taking on the Minister for Interior and Coordination of National Government, Fred Matiang'i, asking him to provide answers to the people of Mathira. Why have these people not been arrested? Why are police, looking like they are unable or they are unwilling or they are not interested in apprehending the perpetrators of these heinous crimes? And I have asked for an answer, and the Speaker has ruled that the Minister must give me an answer. And that is, in pursuit of my oversight role. So we continue to do what we were mandated to do, oversight, legislation, and representation. And we want everybody to understand us. When we ask these questions on our behalf of our people, we have nothing against government. We're just doing our job. We must represent our people, and when they have concerns, they must be addressed. When we talk about matters coffee, matters tea, matters milk, it's not that we disrespect the government or anything. No. Okay. We're just doing our job because we have a salary. We get paid at the end of every month. And our job is clearly cut out. You must represent your people. You must articulate their concerns. You must be able to take up with the authorities issues that concern your people, and do it, very passionately and without fearing anybody, because you can't fear, because you have a job to do that is well cut out. So I want to tell our people that we are up, for the job, and we have what it takes, and we are hoping that at the end of this term, they'll be able to do an appraisal on our performance. And if they are so convinced that we have done a good job, they can renew our contract. If they think we have not done a good job, they are at liberty to terminate the contract. I mean, this is a social contract between me and the people. Yeah, I'm ready. I'll be, telling the people of Mathira, for 5 years we agreed: roads, water, schools, representation in parliament, defending the rights of people, the border people, the Sienta people. We say this is what we have done, and we'll be asking the people of Mathira, this is our performance, this is our report card. If you are convinced we have done a good job, please, can you renew the mandate? We do another 5 years. If, in your opinion, we think we have not performed to expectation, it is the right of the Mathira people to terminate that contract, and then we can go and do something else.
There's something you mentioned about and there's a culture that is coming up about the deaths that you're seeing, the murders that are happening. Yes. Is it a concern for you as a leadership, and what do you think is going on? Why is it we're hearing about murders every day? We cannot go a week without hearing someone has been murdered, someone has disappeared without a trace, and the police seems to be a bit lethargic on addressing these issues. Do you feel there need to be concern at the safety of Kenyans?
There's a big concern. We are having a society in distress. The economic hardships that our people are going through have everything to do with escalating crime. There's a very big connection all the time between economic hardships and rising crime. Because when people cannot fend for themselves, when people cannot make ends meet, they try to take shortcuts in life. Those border guys who have been killed is because they wanted to steal the motorbikes. Okay. It's about stealing. And then they take it to another level for fear of identification, that the person you took the motorbike from you can identify you in court proceedings. You decide to terminate that person, which is very callous and very, very inhuman. Because if you really have to steal, just take the motorcycle and let the man leave to buy another motorcycle another day, But when you steal the motorcycle and you kill him, it's very, very inhuman. But it has everything to do with the economic hardships. A lot of people under stress, and I can also tell you the level of suicide has gone up. The level of depression in this country. People who had jobs that were working, today they are jobless. With this COVID and the measures that have been spelled out by government. You are working somewhere in a restaurant, you are out of job, you cannot pay rent, you cannot take your children to school. The people are very depressed, and the levels of depression are very high. So we have a lot of suicides that are taking place every day. So this is a society in distress. And these are some of the things we must address. Again, the police have lost track. Our government that I serve and that I voted for and supported very strongly have used police to do the wrong things. Police, instead of dealing with crime, protecting life and property, maintaining law and order, making sure that people observe the rule of law. Our policemen have been deployed to manage politics, and that's not their work. Politics is managed through persuasion, through engagement, through interactions. But I have seen a tendency, especially this term, 2017 to date, where the executive have decided to use the police, the criminal justice system, to manage politics, to intimidate people. Yesterday, the county member of parliament for Nyandarua, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, was telling me there was a funeral somewhere in Rurie Ward where there's a by-election, and it was said we are coming for the funeral. So the police were there with 4 lorries.
Wow, to do what?
It's total misuse of public resources. Those policemen are supposed to be dealing with crime, pursuing perpetrators of crime, seeking pursuing criminals and arresting them and taking them to court. Unfortunately, they are being deployed to handle politics. That's not their line. They have no idea about politics. So also, I think the reorganization that was done within the National Police Service, in my view, as a former officer of government who dealt with security matters for many years, I think it was not wise, in my view, to merge the activity, the operations of the regular police and the administration police. I don't think it was the right decision. Okay. Because ideally, from my experience, and I served for 14 years in the field, the administration policemen were very critical because they were out there in the outposts, and they will prevent crime from happening. And they were answerable to the chief and the district officer. Today, a chief cannot give any instruction to a police officer. They report to the officer commanding police station, maybe 30, 40 kilometers away. Before they can take instruction from somebody 30, 40 kilometers away, somebody is already dead. Yeah. But when they were answerable to the local chief, and they were just there.
There are more accountability.
The accountability and also the response. It is swift and timely. Know. But now, all these officers were put together under the officer commanding police station, a guy who is 30, 40 kilometers away, and they have no control. They are not able to get the operations done properly. Okay. This is something that in a new government, in a new dispensation, it's something that
You'll reverse.
Of course, I'll be proposing.
You'll be the Matiangi of the next dispensation.
No, not necessarily, but I'll be proposing. I'll be proposing that we look at it because it's not working. Okay. Yeah. We like the administration police to work under the officers of the national government administration, under the chief, under the ACC. It's more practical, it's more effective, and the regular police can stay at the station and deal with crimes that have already occurred. And the administration policemen can deal with crimes that have not occurred. They can deter. They are more deterring. And prevention, you don't have to wait for crimes to take place for you to deal with them. That, in my view, is food for thought.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you, sir, what do you think is the state of the nation? You probably picked out a few things on there, but what do you think is the state of the nation?
We are in trouble as a country. Okay. Of course, we are reeling from the effects of COVID-19 and the economic hardships that have come with it. Our people have no food. Our people cannot pay rent. There's no medicine in hospital. I was just in Karatina, and I was being told they don't even have painkillers at Karatina, district hospital. You look at the newspapers on a daily basis. There are 10 pages at the back of auctions. Property being auctioned because businessmen have not been able to service their debts because they are paying bills in government that have not been honored. And I remember in 2019, in June, the president, when in Narok, ordered principal secretaries to pay operating bills. Up to today, they have not done it. A lot of people who supplied goods to the prisons department, to the National Service, have not been paid. And they had borrowed money from banks, and they used their properties, their patrimonial homes as collateral. These homes are up for sale, and people are in distress. And if you look at the businesses in town, most shops have been closed. If you go to Nyamakema, several years ago, the goodwill for a shop on the ground floor was Kenyan shillings 3 million. So because of the business volume that was there, today the shops are closed. They don't ask for business. They don't ask for goodwill. They ask you to move in and pay what you can.
Yeah.
It paints a very grim picture, and of course, the lack of priorities on the part of our government. Today we are pushing BBI. In my view, other governments are pushing vaccination. All over the world, parliaments are dealing with the pandemic. Our National Assembly was recalled for a special sitting to discuss the BBI. I would have thought it wise and as a matter of priority to recall Parliament from recess to discuss COVID-19 and the measures that need to be put in place to protect our people from the virus, so that they can be able to get back to work. We are a very hardworking nation. We are a very productive society. When we have people at home and they are not productive, the economy will automatically suffer. And we are staring at a very grim picture, I must say. It doesn't look good at all. It is very worrisome. And we are praying to God to be merciful and, eliminate this virus. And hopefully we can pick our pieces again and get back to life.
Okay.
But it's not easy. It isn't.
Okay. All right. Yesterday, Suluhu, Tanzania's new president, Suluhu Hassan, was in the country. And I wonder, what does it mean for Kenya and also EAC? She was in Tanzania. She was in Uganda. They had a trade deal. And when you look at the pipeline deal that they have with Tanzania, with Uganda, it was supposed to go through Kenya that time. And it looks like we are trying to catch up. Is there anything that we can revert? What does it mean for the EAC market, also Kenya, trading with Tanzania and Uganda? At what point do we divert what they already have there? What does it mean for this country? Because there seems to be a lot of excitement around it. You talk about having new economic ties with Tanzania. Is there anything much we're going to gain from this visit that we're having? What do you think we stand to gain?
Well, as a student of African international relations, I must commend the President, Kenyatta, for the initiative he has taken to engage the new Tanzanian leader and try to improve our diplomatic relations. We didn't enjoy very good ties with the Republic of Tanzania, and we are neighbors. And we have a lot to offer to Tanzania in terms of trade. So when we don't enjoy very good relations, it's not very good for us. So I think our president has taken a good initiative of trying to take advantage of the new leader who has come quickly and restore good working relations, interstate relationships. And I think that once it's done, we'll be able to engage Tanzania to allow free trade and create a market for our goods. We would want to export a little bit more to Tanzania. We would like the borders to be open so that our people can go there for opportunities, And granted, the new leader has come with a lot of passion and a new change, a new style. And it tells you that a country is run by a president.
Okay.
Nobody heard about this lady. Nobody knew what she does. She was just there. But once she has taken over, you can see the kind of vibrancy she has injected in the presidency. It reminds us of our own Mzee Mwai Kibaki. He was vice president for 10 years. The country was in trouble. Yet there's nothing he could do. But when he became president and took over the country, he revived the economy. He revived the fortunes of our people. By the time he was done in 10 years, he achieved this country completely. And there was a lot of money in the country. Business grew, and everybody was very happy. Yet when he was vice president, he was just there.
He was not able to do much.
Yeah, so even in the Tanzanian experience, it is telling us that really the issue of the president is where the issue is. The rest are just people who are just there. The rest are just people who are there. And you can see now things are being done different in Tanzania. She's hardly 2 months in office. And you can see now she's trying to reach out to her counterparts in the region, create good, diplomatic relations, and which will also favor the people of Tanzania. And she has come up with a new style of doing things, and there's a lot of expectation in the air. So I think the visit of the Tanzanian president is good for this country. I would urge our Ministry of Foreign Affairs to really work on it and try to see how we can get in terms of balance of trade, so that we are selling more, we are exporting more to Tanzania than we were doing there previously.
When you talk about trade, I mean, Kenya is almost turning to a net importer. We heard about our farmers complaining about imports from Tanzania, onions, tomatoes. The other day, we even had our chicken being banned at the border. I mean, what competitive authority do we have over Tanzania? Because we didn't talk about opening the borders and trading. We are more likely to lose than gain from the whole deal. What's your feeling?
Not necessarily. You see what Tanzania did, the late president was very selfish. As we opened the borders for them to bring their goods to this country, but he may close the border for us to take our goods to that country. So what President Kenyatta needs to do is to sort that one out, so that we have free trade between the two countries. We are able to take our goods there, and they are able to bring their goods there. But you see the way it was, the balance of trade was favoring Tanzania, because as we were magnanimous, we were kind enough, and we let them export their goods to Kenya, but they were not very willing. They were not very, accommodative in terms of letting our people to go to Tanzania and do business. And it's all about good diplomatic relations. That's where it starts. I think once at the level of President Kenyatta and the new Tanzanian president, once it is agreed at that level, then our ministers for foreign affairs and trade, can now work on the details. They can, but because you need that goodwill at that level.
Right. So you feel we stand to gain from a trade?
We do.
That we don't have competitive advantage?
If our technocrats in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade can swing into action quickly and take advantage of the seemingly good relationship, then that can be advantageous to the people of this country.
Okay.
So it's really up to them to take it up from where the president has reached.
So let's talk infrastructure.
The president has done his job. They need to do theirs.
Let's talk about infrastructure now. We're coming in, Suluhu has come into the country. What we are promising is it's like you're being theoretical. Like, we'll do business with you. There's no guarantee that I'll do business with you. When you look at what is happening in Uganda, they had a deal with Museveni that they're going to do a pipeline through into Uganda. We talked about the SGR, that they're building it from the port, from Dar port, that probably will pass through Uganda into Rwanda. So where does it live? Can we have an SGR that's stuck somewhere in between here? Of course, we cannot have two countries trading across. If it's coming from Dar port, then probably Uganda as a landlocked country would prefer to get its stuff from Dar port and even Rwanda and all that. So she's come to the country. We talk about we will trade. We'll have a better diplomatic relationship. Diplomatic relationship is not substantive. It's not something you can touch. But you're having about deals that are being signed in Uganda and probably Rwanda as we move forward, of infrastructure linkage between the countries. Where do you think this puts us in the EAC?
Well, I think we had problems about the concept of the SGR and the cost. And in my understanding, Uganda was uncomfortable at the cost of the SGR. Because if you look at the figures, the cost of the SGR in this country was exaggerated to a very great extent. If you compare with what was done in Ethiopia, you find there is something that is not right. And the way I look at it is that at the conception level, there should have been a consultative process with our partners, with our neighboring countries, before we did it. You see, we were talking to Uganda when we are already halfway.
Yes.
It's like an afterthought. But I'm sure within the habit of the East African community, going forward in future, if there is an intention where one member state to come up with an infrastructural program or any other program that needs to be shared among the sister parties, it needs to be conceptualized at that level, at the East African community level, so that and a pact is signed, there is an agreement to it, so that when we go to implementation, everybody is on board. As it is now, we are depending on the magnanimity of Museveni at a personal level.
Can you if he feels good about it, then he does it.
Then, I mean, things cannot be done that way.
Counting on his mood.
Yeah, I mean, and today he's moody, tomorrow he's okay. I mean, you can't run countries that way. So I think from where I sit, in terms of foreign relations, in terms of bilateral and multilateral engagements, where a project needs to be done that will help the sister countries, those engagements and agreements need to be done before at the level of the East African community or the bigger region. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So where's your friend, Deputy President, in the whole thing? He has not been seen. This is a presidential function. Probably should have been seen also welcoming Sulu. He's not been seen. What's going on?
Well, the Deputy President serves at the pleasure of the President.
Okay.
He's the principal assistant to the President, and the President assigns him duty.
So he has not been assigned?
If he has not been assigned, so be it. I mean, yes, you can assign yourself duties. You know, duties are assigned by the boss. And I think the Deputy President is on record saying he's okay. He has taken it in stride, and he has agreed that the President works the way he wants. If the President feels he wants to call him to meet the President of a sister country, he'll be available. If the President, in his wisdom, decides that his presence is not desirable, so be it. So I think these things, Kenyans know what is happening. You know, it's out there.
What's happening? Kenyans, we don't know. I'm a Kenyan. I don't know what's happening because I don't sit in the presidency. What's happening? What's happening in the presidency?
It's out there. You know what happened during the first term. William Ruto was up and about. The second term, he's just there. And it's really the president to decide the way he wants to run his government because he's a president. Although they got a joint mandate with the deputy president, the mandate of the deputy president was to assist him to run the country. So if the president so decides that he doesn't need the assistance of the deputy president, so be it. The deputy president continues doing his own things and preparing for the future because you can't just sit and wait, you know, for things to be done for you or for you to be told what to do. I think the deputy president is focused and is preparing for his future leadership and the programs that you would like to see done for this country. Yeah.
So let me ask you, you've given us an history. You've talked about Kibaki, that he was a vice president. At that time, he was vice president for 10 years. You got an example of Sulu, who was never heard of. Now we can see her, you know, doing things. Uganda, we don't even know who is the vice president. But anyway, coming back home, what precedents then do you feel we are setting as a country? Because then we cannot afford to have the same convention like, 20 years from now, we talk about Deputy President William Ruto was a vice president at this time, and this is what happened and all that. And then we have him as a president, and then him as a president, having another deputy president that feels the way he's feeling right now. What makes you feel about the history and the precedents that we are setting as a country at this point?
I think what we are doing is wrong for posterity and for the office. You know, the office of the deputy president is enshrined in the Constitution. And the framers of the Constitution had the best intentions that the deputy president would help the president to govern. And the framers of the Constitution were also careful to protect that office and anchor it in the Constitution. And I must tell you today, if the deputy president, William Ruto, position was not anchored in the Constitution, he would have been shown the door a long time ago. It would have been like when we had vice presidents. But now he is there. You cannot just remove him. If you want to remove him, you would have to move parliament and get two-thirds majority in both the National Assembly and the Senate, which is a very tall order. But be as it may, I think for the purposes of the office, it would have been right to dignify that office. Because it's a senior office, it's in the Constitution, and the people of Kenya elected a deputy president through the ballot. So when you rubbish it and you humiliate the holder of that office, and you make him, look very, very bad, and he's just there, I don't think it is good for the office for the future. And I take it that the next holder of that office, of the office of the president, we will not treat the deputy president the way he has been treated. And in my view, we need to have a law to properly define the functions of the deputy president, so that he doesn't just serve at the pleasure of the president. He has some functions, so that in case there is a frosty relationship, the deputy president continues to work for the people of Kenya, who pays him a salary and who give him a job. That is something I would like to see done. Of course, I don't think it is possible in the current dispensation where the leadership thinks it is right to mistreat a deputy president. I don't think they would allow such a law to define those functions. But going forward in a new dispensation, in a new environment, I think this is something that we need to think about, how we can clearly define the duties of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Yes.
The question, what changed? Everyone asks, what changed? What changed? Because these were brothers doing red ties, blue suits and all. What changed?
Nobody knows what informed the change of heart, part of the president, to change his working style. Because they were working well and it was working. And if you look at the achievements of the Jubilee government, mostly they were achieved during the first term, when there was a very good relationship between the president and the deputy president. When he was put aside and other characters were brought on board, things have stopped. See, like, we talk, these government programs of what is being done must be marketed by somebody. The Jubilee government of President Uhuru Kenyatta has done a lot. In terms of infrastructure, it's enormous. Okay. Nobody knows about it. Nobody talks about it. You must talk about what a government does. William Ruto used to do that. He would move around the country telling people electricity here, this road here, this water here. So when that job was given to Fred Matiang'i, he went to a few meetings and then he gave up because he doesn't have the traction. People do not just turn up to see a road. They turn up to listen to the person who is coming. And that person requires a mandate. People are happy with somebody they have mandated. So nobody inspects government programs. Nobody talks about them. I have seen ministers coming with a few people, they look around and then they go away. They don't talk to the people. They don't even know how to talk to the people. And the people are actually not even there. Because these ministers, these cabinet secretaries don't excite passion. And when William Ruto used to move around launching roads and water, thousands of people would be there to listen what their government is doing for them. So as much as the Jubilee government under President Kenyatta has done so much, I must tell you here today, very few people know about it. Also, when elected leaders were sidelined, and the president, I think, was convinced and advised that you don't need elected leaders to talk about your programs. The people of the national government administration can do it. The county commissioners, the deputy county commissioners, the chiefs. By the way, they don't do it. So nobody knows. The programs in my constituency by the national government are very many. I'm the only one who talks about them. Even the deputy county commissioners don't know these projects. They don't even know where they are. They don't even know what they mean. And these are the people that president was advised they will talk about his programs. They will not. In fact, what has happened is that mostly governors and MCAs have hijacked national government projects.
They're the ones announcing.
They announce them and they say they are theirs because there's nobody talking about it. Because elected leaders have been harassed, they have been intimidated, so they keep quiet. They are not having any passion to market the programs of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So they just keep quiet. So, and nature abhors vacuum. So the governors and the MCAs would come and say, this is our project. That's why you find there's a lot of noise that President Uhuru Kenyatta's government has done nothing. When it has done so much, because there's nobody to talk about it. Because that was the work of elected leaders.
So you believe the president has delivered his mandate?
He's done quite a bit in terms of infrastructure development. I mean, granted, we want to be fair. But there's nobody to talk about it. There's nobody to tell Wananchi what is happening, because that work was being done by the deputy president and elected leaders. So when brakes were slammed on the deputy president, elected leaders were dismissed. There are no meetings to brief them. The work was left to cabinet secretaries who are not elected by anybody, who are not known by anybody. It was left to county commissioners who have no passion. They have no desire.
They are administrators.
They are just there. They're just picking a salary. But you see, an elected member of parliament would market national government projects because you wanted to be re-elected.
Yes.
You must go to the people. So there's that vacuum on part of the Jubilee government. There's nobody to talk about its achievements. There's nobody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Now, you guys were recalled to come and discuss the BBI bill and amendments or no amendments. The speaker yesterday has ruled and slammed brakes on any possibilities of amendments, and he's saying he does not want to mess with the popular initiative. Saying you cannot mess with the popular initiative because it will be against the will of the people. So where does it leave you, or where does it leave Kenyans? What has been the feeling in Parliament generally?
Well, the word popular is very relative. In this matter, there's nothing popular about that initiative. It's an initiative by two people, the president and the former prime minister. It's about them.
So there's nothing popular about it?
There's nothing popular about them. And even the signatures that were collected were not real, were fictitious. In my place, chiefs went and forced the young men and women working for the Kazi Mutaani to sign for them. They went and got the elderly, the ones who are doing the cash transfer program. Even in some places, they went to M-Pesa shops, because the chiefs and assistant chiefs had been given a target and a deadline. You must get 500 signatures within so many days or you lose your job. There's nothing popular about that initiative. The speaker, I was there yesterday, almost 2-hour ruling and communication from the chair. And it's okay. There's nothing we can do. But it makes utter nonsense to bring a document to Parliament and then you say Parliament's rule is ceremonial. Then why do you want to waste time talking about it? If it is cast in stone, then it's unnecessary to even make a contribution. So all we have done, we have just gone on record for the purposes of record and posterity. You know, I was in Parliament myself to oppose the document on the ground that it's not a priority, on the ground that we were told it would deal with the electoral violence. When I read the document, there's nothing in it that deals with election violence, because election violence in this country is caused by people who refuse to accept results. I have not seen a section anywhere saying how to deal with people who refuse to accept the results after exhausting their appeal mechanism. So that does not solve the problem. The issues of inclusivity does not solve any problem, because the proposed positions are from one coalition. You know, the president, the prime minister, the deputy prime minister as coming from the winning side. So how does that deal with inclusivity? When you look at the issue of the 70 constituencies, it is not the work of Parliament to say where the constituencies will be. Parliament would have added them from 290 to 360 and leave it there to IBC, because IBC is the one that is mandated by the Constitution to move around, collect views and make decisions and delineate the constituencies and create names. Now this has been done by some people. And when the BBI people went round, there is nowhere people talked about these constituencies. So you find that it is there and it is being rushed. And you can see the kind of intolerance on both sides of the handshake. Yesterday they removed Atiende Amolo because he said the 70 constituencies are inconstitutional. There's so much intolerance. You know, we're having a very serious dictatorship and tyrannical approach to the whole thing about BBI. And that is why some of us are apprehensive that there's something hidden in it. Why is this intolerance? What is this that it must go through? When the country is in problems, when people have suspended their lives, people don't go to work, businesses have closed, everybody has agreed to put their lives to a halt because of the pandemic, yet the reggae cannot stop. It's so important that must go on, yet everybody else's life has come to a standstill. We don't understand it. So what will happen is that we'll be voting tomorrow. Most of us will be there to be on record, because the voting has no consequence, according to the speaker.
Clearly.
It has no consequence because we cannot change it. If we reject it, it is still go to the referendum. If we support it, it is still go to the referendum. But it's also important we talk for posterity, to be on record. Because this BBI, when it's implemented, if it goes through, it will have serious repercussions in terms of adding an extra burden to the people of Kenya. So it is important that when that extra burden is created, it goes on record, and for the purposes of history,
that you refuse.
That Rigathi Gachagua,
said no
to overburden Kenyans, if nothing else. So we'll be there tomorrow, We contribute on the floor of the House. Others continue to contribute. We'll be there to vote. They need 175 people to pass it, which is within the hardship framework that is possible. But those of us who have a conscience, those of us who care about the ordinary person, who thinks that this is not a priority, will be there to say no, to vote no. Even if we are few, even if I'll be the lone voice to say no, I would like it to go on record.
So is the Senate likely to follow the same route as the National Assembly?
I think so.
Okay.
I think if the ruling by Speaker Muturi, I think Ken Lusaka will go the same way.
He's reading the cues from Muturi.
And it makes utter nonsense to ask parliamentarians to discuss something where they have no say. I mean, it's a waste of time and taxpayers' money. Why do you discuss something you cannot change or you cannot do anything about? What is the use of that discussion? I think then, if that was the intention of the framers of the Constitution, they would have gotten it from the County Assembly direct to the Wananchi and not bring it to Parliament. It's a waste of time. I would rather we spend those days talking about vaccination, talking about providing food for people who cannot feed themselves, providing tax reliefs, providing opportunities for the people of Kenya whose life have come to a standstill. So what was the purpose of calling us yet we have no say? I don't agree with that law. Doesn't make sense to me or anybody else for that matter.
Okay, so your study of ODM, you've mentioned what happened yesterday in ODM. And the question anyway, first of all, if this thing was, because you've said you oppose it, but you're in this country, you're not going anywhere. What happens if this thing actually goes through and passes?
Well, the Kenyan takes an extra burden.
Okay.
If the Kenyans so decide in the referendum to burden themselves, so be it. As we have done our part by saying no. This thing is not good. It will create an extra burden to you. But if Kenyans in their own wisdom decide to overburden themselves, we are part of this country. We can say yes.
So we will all carry it.
Where the will of the majority must always prevail. But the minority must also have their say. They must be heard.
So if the majority says they want the burden,
then they carry it.
We can help you load it on your backs.
There's nothing else we can do.
Okay. Okay, what's happening in ODM? The whip, it looks like ODM is cracking a whip against the dissenting voices in that. Who do you feel is a target in the whole game? I mean, do you feel there's a bigger picture or a bigger person or a bigger figure that's being targeted in all this? You know what's happening in ODM?
I think ODM has been challenged by Jubilee.
Okay.
You people, why can't you crack the whip the way we have done? You know, Jubilee, we have really been very brutal and merciless with any leader with a divergent opinion from that of President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I think Raila Odinga must have been challenged. You know, you are our partner in the handshake, yet you never crack the whip like we have done in Jubilee. In Jubilee, we have punished almost everybody. We chased away Murkomen, we chased away Susan Keheka, we chased away Kithure Kindiki, we chased away Irungu Kang'ata, we removed Kimani Ichung'wah, we whipped Rigathi Gachagua. We have mercilessly dealt with people with divergent opinion in Jubilee. You ODM people, what is happening to you? Please,
well, you know,
please move. You know, and I think they are wise enough. They didn't want to do too much damage. They just sacrificed one for the time being.
Meanwhile,
I think
I got to that time.
Yeah, I think we in Jubilee, you know, there is a story told by our grandmothers in the evening. You know, people used to sit around the fire. That the hyena and the hare, had a meeting. Okay. And they agreed they go and beat their wives. Yeah. The hare was very clever. Yeah. When the hyena was beating his wife, the hare was beating drums. Yeah. So that's what happened. You know.
So Uhuru is beating the wife, and Raila is beating sax and drums.
He really punished his people.
Okay.
You know, if they could not remove you from a position, they get trumped up charges. They take you to DCI, they take you to EACC, they take you to court, they harass. You know, the Jubilee has really harassed the people who put it in office. Yeah, they have harassed the deputy president, they have harassed his allies. It's been very, very brutal and very merciless. But ODM, that's the only one they have done. Only one. And I think just to show, I think they must have been challenged. You people, can you do something also like we have done? But that is very little compared to what Jubilee has done. Yeah.
So Jubilee melima zaidi.
Oh, yeah.
And you're talking about now UDA, Jubilee is having a discussion of Xing out UDA and recalling its coalition partnership with UDA. What do you think is going to happen now going forward? Because Murathe yesterday said is still on, the plan is still on.
Nothing will happen. We are 1 year going to elections. Nobody cares. This Jubilee party has become like KANU. KANU chased people away to an extent that at one time you found more people outside than inside. That is what has happened to Jubilee. Even ourselves, we are just there by name.
Okay.
But the heart is not there.
But who calls the shots in Jubilee? Because for the longest time, the deputy president insisted that he was an equal partner in Jubilee party. That seems to have changed now. And the people calling the shots in Jubilee seems to be different.
Again, the president made decisions on how he wants things to be done. In
the party. So the president also controls the party.
Yeah, of course he does.
Okay.
And that's the way he wants things to be done. If the president wants to kill his own party, what can we do? We are just there.
So you guys are ready to move out of Jubilee?
We are our heart.
Oh, you're already out?
We are there by name. Our hearts are not there.
Where you are? So your heart. Rigathi Gachagua. Lawyer hulu. So lawyer
because we are adults.
Okay.
And we are above 18. And we have some brain. And nobody carries a brain for you. There are those who want people to carry their brains. I hear some people saying they are waiting for President Uhuru Kenyatta to tell them who to vote for. If people want President Uhuru Kenyatta to carry your brain, that is yours. He can't carry mine. I have a brain, and a good one for that matter, in my view. We disbanded and amalgamated 14 parties to form one huge national party called Jubilee. We have decided to destroy that party by chasing people away, by persecuting the people who brought the party to government. It's a very sad state of affairs. Sometimes I think about it, I think it's a bad dream. Only to wake up in the morning and actually
it's actually
real. People who fought for this government, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did more than 800 meetings across the country, setting the Jubilee agenda and campaigning for President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Jubilee. Today, he's a subject of ridicule and humiliation by party functionaries. We have members like ourselves who spend millions of shillings in mobilizing people to go and vote, to register as voters. We mobilize millions of shillings during the repeat election for people to go and vote for President Uhuru Kenyatta. Yet we are here being persecuted by the DCI, by asset recovery, by KRA, and being treated like criminals in your own party when you have done nothing wrong. We have people who sacrifice a lot for this government. Today, they are subject of ridicule and persecution. It's a sad state of affairs. But sad as it is, it's real. I've told you many times, I think it's a dream, a bad dream. The way you can wake up and have a bad dream. Okay. But when I wake up in the morning, I find it's real. But what we have done is that we cannot keep on crying and lamenting.
You have moved on.
Real men don't do that. What you do, you unajipanga. Because life is not static. Yes. Life is very dynamic. And there is always tomorrow. And challenges in life is part of life. That is why when you go to the countryside, you find hills and valleys. It's up and down. If you go and find a very flat terrain, it can only be in desert. Life, there are ups and downs. There are challenges. So the challenges we are facing today in Jubilee have made us better people. So we must have a plan B. We must prepare ourselves for an alternative. Because when we listen to Akina Murathe speak, we don't think Jubilee will be available to us to use as a vehicle to ascend to office. So you cannot just sit at home and be at the mercy of such characters who are merciless and who are keen on destroying a good party. So if they want to destroy the party, let them go ahead, as we have a plan B. at the right time. Yeah, we are in Jubilee for now.
But you have your plan ahead.
Of course.
Ushajipanga.
No, you must have a plan.
Okay, so let me ask you, sir. You guys are ready to lose your seats if Jubilee dissociates from UDA?
Jubilee cannot just dissociate from UDA just like that. You don't just dissolve a marriage because you want to. No, there must be a discussion about the property, about the children.
Which is now in this case, what's the property?
About the children, about
we'll have
about the properties you made together. I mean, you don't just wake up in a marriage and decide to dissolve it because you have gotten another
You're not feeling good this morning.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, it's a discussion. It will take place, and they
have ruled out discussions.
No.
So they say they're not open for discussions.
They cannot. I'm just saying you cannot just say you don't want this marriage.
So what if we get there? Where actually, because the PDR as well has been saying, a register of parties, that's RPP, it has been seen to be controlled from a certain place. We've seen things that have happened before. We've seen people being expelled out of parties, and it has approved it. There seems to be no mechanism.
That instrument of coalition has provisions for a divorce. They have not been exhausted. So we'll cross the bridge when we reach there. One thing at a time.
What happens when we get there? If we get there, whatever. You guys are ready to lose your seats, or you'll turn back?
Let's cross the bridge when we reach there.
Rigathi, are you guys ready to lose your seats?
Personally, as Rigathi Gachagua, I'm ready for anything.
You're ready to lose your
seats?
seats?
For anything. I'll face anybody in any by-election, and I'll whip them hands down. Any morning. I don't have a problem. I don't have absolutely no issue.
No problem.
No issue at all.
You're ready for this?
What we don't want to is that our people are dying because of corona. They have no food. Just like we don't want to subject them to a referendum. We wouldn't want to subject them to another by-election.
Before an election.
We think it's very unkind. We think it's very insensitive. That is why we avoid this by-election, not because of fear. No, not at all. It's really looking at our people, the voters, that we would have to subject them to a by-election. But if it has to come to that, so be it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The budget. Ukuri Yatani has released a 3.62 trillion budget, and he's telling us, man, I don't have money, and he's seeking unfettered permission to actually change or to amend the VAT Act and tax administration and all that. I mean, where's the fear? Because you guys sit in Parliament, and you, like you said, you've sent you to Parliament to represent the people. We are not having this conversation in Parliament. What you're talking about right now is BBI, whether we agree or not, yes or no. We are not discussing pertinent issues. This is something that has happened, and it's about to affect the people of Mathira that you're saying have been suffering because of COVID-19. Ukuri Yatani has asked for that and further access to the tax administration. What's Parliament doing about this?
Well, we will deal with it when it comes to Parliament. Okay. Let me tell you for free. That Yatani guy is a joker.
Is he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I think he's having wild dreams. Even attempting to dream that we can allow him to tax people without representation. There is an old maxim says there is no taxation without representation. You can't tax people without representation.
Yes.
We will not allow him to sit at the treasury and change VAT rules, and the taxation measures without coming to Parliament. Everything must come to Parliament because Parliament is there on behalf of the people. And the people must agree to be taxed or not to be taxed and to what level of taxation. So I want to say from the onset, those regulations will be thrown out by Parliament. That I can tell you. It doesn't matter, even these hardship fellows who normally vote blindly. I don't think...
This time they'll open their eyes.
I don't think they would agree to allow the executive to tax people without Parliament's input. I don't think anybody in his right mind will do that. Number two, you have said it rightly. That's what we are saying. We are discussing BBI. Yatani is saying, I have no money, I need to tax Kenyans more. Yet you want to spend 14 billion for BBI. That BBI, the implementation, will cost Kenyans another 20 billion. We are saying, you are telling people you want to give them 35%, 15% you are unable to give them. Governors are crying every day. Money has not been released. What are you telling us? Just how foolish how foolish do these people think Kenyans are? You are here talking of a budget of 3.6 trillion. Most of that money will go to service the public debt. They have to borrow the money to do development. What development is going to happen? I'm telling you today, the contractors in my constituency have stopped working because they have not been paid, you know. And from what I can see, this is the last budget we are going for. I don't see where this money will come from. Yet there are people who are being told, oh, if you don't support the BBI, you will not get money for roads. You get money for roads for where? The projects that are already ongoing have no funds.
There's no money.
There's no
for
money.
what is already going on.
Like in my constituency, I had almost 400-500 million in the budget. It was taken away in the supplementary budget to zero. You know, they removed all the money. So I am staring at a very grim picture where I don't know whether the contractors will be paid to complete the roads. So we are saying we are a bit reckless. Here we are saying we need authority to raise taxes without being questioned by Parliament to be able to deal with the budget deficit. On the same day, we are saying we need to increase our expenditure by creating more offices, increasing the members of Parliament, and creating an extra burden to the people of Kenya. Yet you are not able to carry the burden that is already on your back. As a country, we are staring at a disaster. The economic management of this country has never been this low. You know, it looks planless. It looks chaotic. It looks chaotic. Because really, when you come up with that big budget, yet the revenue collection is about 1.4 billion, you have to borrow the rest of the money, you know? And we have been borrowing. When President Mwai Kibaki retired, he left this country at a debt of 1.4 trillion. We are going to 9, 10.
Wow.
And I know soon they will be asking us
to review the ceiling.
I'll vote against it myself. Again, the handshake may come into place and just pass it. You know, and I want to tell members of Parliament, we have 1 year to election. Stop now fearing. Those who used to fear threats, what are you fearing? There's nothing that can be done to you. Yeah, I mean, we are going to election in another, 13 months. This is a time for you to stand up and be very firm. You know, some of us have been firm throughout, and we have paid the price for it. We have been harassed, we have been persecuted, we have been called all sorts of names. Our names have been splashed in the papers. We have been to record statements at DCI, but we have stayed firm because we have a conscience. I'm asking members of Parliament to really be very fair to the people who have elected them and not be intimidated by government to pass things that will be a burden to the people that they lead, things that will hurt the people who have given them a job. It's very unfair and it's very selfish because you really fear about yourself that KRI can be on you, DCI can be on you. You really give up your conscience and agree to things that you know are wrong because you are intimidated. And I'm telling them, in another 2, 3, 4 months, this country will run amok. We'll be going for election. Nobody will bother.
Nobody will be listening to this.
Yeah, so just please stand up for your right. Preserve your conscience and do the right thing. Protect the person who have given you a job. Don't just go to Parliament and agree to add the debt ceiling because the government is asking you to do so. Don't go and pass BBI that is going to add extra burden to the people who have given you a job because you are being threatened, because you are being intimidated. It is wrong. It is wrong.
Okay. So now the budget is here with us, and it has to be financed somehow, some way. Now, the government is saying we don't have money, and you've said it rightfully because you sit in government, you're in Parliament, so you know what happens in government. You're saying the money is not there. We have to raise this 3.62 trillion to run the budget. There's no other way. As it looks like Yatani is very determined to run the budget. So where is the position of Parliament in the whole thing? Because now there's no other way they're going to get the money except going back to the people. I've seen they're going to review some tax accounts. I saw the other day to cater for this. So where is the place of Parliament in being the buffer between the executive and the treasury and the people? Where's the place of Parliament?
Parliament must stand up in defense of the Kenyan people. It is the last line of defense for the Kenyan people. Where else do they go?
Okay.
In the face of the economic hardships they are facing, in the face that Yatani wants to increase more burden on them, where do the people of Kenya go? They can only look upon their members of Parliament to guard them against the excesses of the executive.
Will they?
That's why I'm appealing to them.
Will the parliament do that?
I don't know.
Because history, Mheshimiwa, as Judge Parliament, and you are part of those parliamentarians. The only time parliamentarians agree is when it's about them.
Yes.
Like when we are about to raise our packs, when we are about to raise our allowances, when you are supposed to do some sitting allowance, raise salaries and all that, you guys always agree. There's no Jubilee, there's no ODM, there's no handshake, there's no Kileweke, there's no Tanga. You agree unanimously. Do you think the parliament is going to stand up this test and defend the rest of the people for once? I'm
not able to speak for the rest.
Okay.
But I know that Rigathi Gachagua seated here will do the right thing. Yeah, I'll say no to what is wrong and what cannot be defended. I'll say no to overburdening the Kenyan people. I'll say no to the excesses of the executive. I am sure a few others like-minded will do so. As to whether we shall be many of us to form a substantial majority to protect the people, I cannot tell. What I know is that many people, resort to the politics of the stomach, they are seen aside, and I can tell you very ridiculous amounts, that are given to members of parliament, very ridiculous.
What does it cost to maintain?
I'm saying people are 20,000 to sell your conscience. I mean, it's incomprehensible. It's unbelievable. And many others, of course, are intimidated by party positions. You have seen what is happening in ODM. You have seen what has happened in Jubilee. By the way, many Jubilee people, many, I can tell you, are not in this thing. It's only they are cowards. They are cowards. But many of them, when we talk in private, they are very unhappy with the things that are being done. Yeah?
So why can't they show up?
No, they are very few. Brave people are very few. We cowards are many in this world. Yeah, and among the cowards are in members of parliament. But when we talk in private, I was talking to a member of parliament who subscribed to the Kileweke scheme of things. He was with us, then he was intimidated. Your roads will be cancelled. You go to KRI, then he switched and went to Kileweke. I was with him on Monday. The things he was talking, I had to lock the door. Because I wouldn't want that discussion to be had by government. We can be taken to prison. And he's the one who was telling me about what is happening and how bitter he is and how bitter people are. Yet he has no courage to stand in parliament and say no. Yet he is complaining to me. He was even complaining more than I'm complaining. I had to look whether there's somebody and
he was weeping more than the bereaved.
Yeah, and many people are cowards. And it took brave people from the Mount Kenya region, especially from Nyeri, where I come from, to resist British colonialism. The colonization that took away our land and our freedom. Yeah, it took a few brave people. When the British soldiers had planes, they had guns, they had grenades, they had bombs, they had all the artillery and the might of the colonial government of Her Majesty. It took a few brave people to take pangas and the sheer will to resist, to go to the Mount Kenya and the Aberdare forest and say no to the British colonial rule.
So Nyeri is rising again.
And they drove away the British. I am a descendant of that family. My father, my late mother were freedom fighters. And so are my many relatives. I have that blood in me. I'm a freedom fighter, fighting in a different generation. Not using the panga, but using brains and a mouth. And I cannot be intimidated. I cannot be threatened. I am willing to be the sacrificial lamb. And I've been sacrificed. I've been harassed by asset recovery. They have taken away my money. They have taken my property. I've been harassed by the DCI. I've been harassed by KRI. But I've not lost my conscience. I am still very strong. I'm still very determined that we must stand for what is right. And if all of us become cowards, who will talk for the people of this country?
Nobody.
It behoves a few of us to have the courage
to speak out.
And we are saying we are prepared for anything. We are prepared to go to prison. We are prepared to lose our property. We are prepared even to lose our lives, if need be. for this country, because we cannot allow what is going on to go on without somebody saying it. Yeah, where our people have been driven into poverty, people who are rich, people who are wealthy, people who are dignity, their lives have been shattered, and this continues unabated, and nobody talks about it. We must get a few people who can
Someone has to speak about it.
Somebody must speak about
Okay.
it. And if God has given us that opportunity and decided it is Rigathi Gachagua and a few others who must be the sacrificial lambs,
then you're talking
betterment of the society and this country, we must do it.
Okay. And before I take you back to where you come from, I want us to what do you think could happen now in the next coming months? We are nearing an election. The president, people have argued that the president probably does not have an agenda, or he doesn't have a plan to leave power. You're talking about the government that is in its successes. You're talking about parliamentarians who are being intimidated by the same system. You're talking about an economy that is tanking. You're talking about there seems to be no strategy towards a recovery, because when you look at the budget, it's the same conversation that we've been having for the last 1 year. They're talking about fighting the pandemic. That seems to be, it's not something you can touch. Some of us, you cannot say you touch corona, we are going to arrest corona, then we fix it. When you look at the budget, the biggest chunk goes into recovering from COVID-19. The political landscape keeps to be getting twisted every other time. We're seeing coalitions being formed. We're seeing the president seems to be having more grip on power. Like he's even having a tighter fist on power and all that. In the coming days, you told the parliamentarians that you should not fear. We are getting into an election in the next 13 months. There's been a conversation on postponing elections up to 2024. All these stories are going around. You've been in politics longer than we just came in the other day, so we're actually observing politics. What do you think is going to happen between now and August 2022?
For the record, nobody can extend the life of this government. The Constitution does not allow. Okay, the Constitution envisages where the life of Parliament can be extended for 6 months and maybe another 6 months, only if Kenya is at war. Anybody who has ideas of extending the life of this government would have to start a war, maybe with Uganda and Tanzania. And I don't think that is possible because of the relations we are enjoying with Tanzania and Uganda. They look to be good. You have seen even in Somalia,
yes,
a chaotic country.
Yes.
They try to extend, it's not possible. And there is no country there. Kenya is not Somalia. Kenya is not Rwanda. Kenya is not Uganda. Any attempt to extend the life of this government even by a day,
what will happen?
Will bring unprecedented chaos in this country. People will not take it. They will not allow it. And I don't think anybody will. So the issue of extending the life of this government does not arise. It's not possible unless Kenya is at war. And the way I see, we are enjoying good relationships with our neighbor. And I don't see where there will be war. There will be an election on the 9th of March, 2022.
You sure about that? You're very certain about it?
Yeah, there will be an election. There will be an election. And I don't see how you do go about extending the life of the government, because it's clearly spelled under the Constitution. That's the only way. Kenya would have to be at war, and then Parliament would have, through 2/3 majority, to extend its life by 6 months, and then renew it for another 6 months up to a year. There's no other way. What I would urge, in my view, respectively, the president and the government, is to spend the next 13 months trying to put this country back into order economically. All the effort that is being used on BBI, on creating coalitions and crafting alliances and trying to manage the 2022 succession, I would rather the president and the government use that time and energy and passion to restore the economy in some way or another, so that people can have food on the table and people can have some money in the pocket. But if the government decides to abdicate its role and decide to spend all the time and energy on BBI, on building alliances, on trying to manage the 2022 succession, then it's very sad for this country. Because the president and the government has a mandate that is ending in another 13 months. And in my view, it is prudent on the part of the president and the government to spend all his time to manage the country and deliver their mandate before the expiry of the term. Politics, of course, will be very hot, and there'll be a contest. And I'm sure the best will emerge. And Kenyan people are wise. There's a shortage of fools in this country. And to a certain extent, people already know how the direction they want to take.
Somehow.
Many people know the direction they want to take. There may be a few who are still waiting to see what will happen. But when I listen, and I listen a lot because it's good to listen, many people know the direction they want to go.
Okay. So what do you think then is the interest of the president in taxation politics towards 2022? And do you think he's going to have some influence in it? They have talked about a deep state that exists that will say...
I don't know. The president has freedom and the liberty to choose who he wants to be the next president. He has a leeway to actually even influence in his own way and attempt to do so, and it is his right. And if he has a preferred candidate, he should campaign for that candidate. As to whether the people of Kenya will be persuaded, that's another different story. You know?
And as to whether power will be given to whoever the Kenyans decide is.
They are not,
is there anything like that?
There's nothing like that.
I couldn't get into a deep state.
I've heard that nonsense from David Murade.
I couldn't deep state, Mheshimiwa.
There's nothing. Ask me. I was in that so-called deep state in the year 2002. when we tried to force Uhuru Kenyatta on the people of Kenya, they said no. And we tried, and we were very determined. And the more deep state would make the current deep state look like
a joke,
like a Christmas party. It's a joke. The more deep state was really deep.
It was deeper than deep.
No, it was deep, and system was working and effective. This is a joke compared.
So you guys tried this thing in 2002?
Yeah, we tried. And I was there.
As a deep state of the president?
I was part of it. I was a personal assistant to the president. Then. I was in the center of it myself.
Center of the deep state.
I'm telling you that thing does not work. What will happen is that in another 6 months, people will stop taking illegal instructions. Police commanders will start asking for instructions in writing. That's normally what happens. On an election year when a president is retiring, government officers will stop taking illegal instructions. That's what happened in 2002. They stop. They refuse.
So you think they'll even stop taking instructions from the president?
If they get instructions that are illegal, they'll say no. That's what normally happens in a succession.
So you okay, Mheshimiwa, you've talked about the president of the deep. So you feel like as time goes by, the president will lose his grip, lose influence.
Ordinarily, the president shouldn't lose grip if he did the right thing.
Okay. So in this case, he's not doing. You feel he's not doing that?
No, I'm saying I don't know what he'll do.
Right.
He has two choices. He could go the Kibaki way, which in my view is the best way. If he asked me for advice, that's what I would advise him to just complete his term and let Kenyans make a decision on the next government and how they want it to be elected. And that way he'll acquire his respect as a statesman and he'll retire very peacefully. He could go the Moi way. Try to pick a project, mobilize resources and the deep state and the system, and try to force the people of Kenya in a certain direction. Chances are 9 to 10, the people will say no. And it will not be very nice because they will be disrespectful to him. And that is something we wouldn't want. We would want the president to retire with respect and dignity.
Peacefully. So let me ask you now that you remember
and dignity. But if in the unfortunate event that he is so persuaded that he picks a project and decides to force it down on the throat of Kenyans, there will be quite a bit of resistance.
It got the Moi way.
There will be quite a bit of resistance, and it will not be very nice. It will be quite uncomfortable, ugly, and we don't want that for a president. President is a symbol of national unity, and we would want President Kenyatta to retire peacefully in dignity and observe his legacy, because he has done quite a bit, and good. We would want him to have that legacy by being having a dignified exit. But that decision solely belongs to him. It's up to him to make that decision of the way he wants to exit.
Okay. Now, you've had advice for the president. You mentioned you're a member of the Deep State in 2002. What advice do you have for the Deep State that is here currently? What advice do you have for them?
Right. I want to tell the Deep State that those who are retiring with the president are okay. Those who are a little bit younger and who have a future, they need to think twice. Yeah.
They need to jump off the boat early.
They need to think twice. Those who want to retire with the president are okay. They can just do what they want and retire with him. But those who want to be around in the next dispensation, they don't know who will be president. Let them not, step on too many toes. Let them not humiliate others. You don't know about tomorrow, and you make a decision because you are Kenyan and you'll be around. Anything is possible. What the deep state is pushing probably could go through. Very unlikely, but there's a likelihood. But those pushing it must realize, what if it doesn't go through? What about if the person you are pushing around
becomes the president?
Yeah, he's sworn in. Okay. What happened? So I want to tell them that they study the Kenyatta succession.
And you're speaking from experience?
Yeah. Okay. They study the Kenyatta succession and they study the Moi succession. History is very important. There was a guy called Hezekiah Oyugi. He was a permanent secretary, provincial administration and internal security. He was my boss. And he was so powerful, extremely powerful. In fact, he would seal the fate of many men and women in a few minutes. He would share sauna and a steam bath with President Moi. Two men, naked, basking in the heat of sauna and enjoying oxygen and talking. And you can imagine how powerful that man is. When we were in uniform and he would make a telephone call, people would stand when speaking to him 400 kilometers away and salute on telephone. Salute the man on telephone. The man was immensely powerful. Ministers would tremble at the mention of his name.
Wow.
He was in the office of the president, who were ministers who were senior, he would summon them to his office. And when things changed, and things changed in politics, he was dismissed, he was arrested, he was detained, he was thrown out. Nobody would go to visit him, nobody would talk to him. 9-10 months later, he was dead.
Wow.
Not even an assistant chief attended his funeral. He was buried like a normal person in the village. Nobody,
at least even chief and another
nobody in the legis of government that would tremble at the mention of his name could even dare to go near the funeral. He was a pariah. The government was through with him because there was a new dispensation. Those are histories. We would want people like Fred Matiang'i to know. I wish he could talk to me. I would give him that history because I was part of it. I was with Hezekiah Oyugi when he was powerful. Wow. I saw him go down. I even tried to help him. It was not possible. And I saw how everybody abandoned him. That's what happens. So as you exercise power, exercise it with wisdom. And let me tell you, also ourselves, the kind of humiliation that we have been subjected to by this government, the kind of persecution, the only positive thing about it is that we would never, again, if God gives us an opportunity to exercise power, do anything to anybody the way it has been done to us. That's the only positive thing about it. Okay. That if God
has taught you a lesson.
If God is gracious enough
to give you an opportunity,
to give us an opportunity
to be where they are today,
we will never do to Kenyans what has been done to us. That's the only positive side about it. And I'm even sure, I'm absolutely sure that the deputy president, if God is gracious enough to allow him to accept the presidency, I'm sure he will never allow his deputy to be treated the way he has been treated. I'm sure he will never allow the criminal justice system to be used to harass and persecute those who disagree with him. I'm sure he will not want to treat another human being the way he has been treated. That is the only beautiful lesson about what has taken place. it's positive that nobody would be that forgetful because of power to go and do to people what has been done to you.
Wow. You were there in the first term of Jubilee. We've even talked about the amendment of Section 4, the security bill. Do you have any regrets in your second term? Do you have any regrets of what happened in Jubilee? Do you have any regrets?
I've just told you about lessons learned.
So those are regrets. What do you
lessons are.
It's a reflection.
When you make law,
yes,
make law like you are making it to be applied by your enemies. That those are the lessons learned. That
when you're making law,
you make it as if
you're making it for your worst enemy
to implement it, so that you always make the best law.
The pain you feel can determine whether you still want to go that way or you don't want to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
We must always make the law like you are making it for your worst enemy. That way we will have good laws.
Wow. So it looks like 2022 will be a turnaround. Now, there are two things I'd want to talk to us about before I roll to Mount Kenya very briefly as we are to our tail end. Now, one thing is about the coalitions that we are seeing. We're seeing there's one called Hoka, some other people call it Niachie. We're seeing Raila. I saw another lineup that was released the other day about Raila being president and all these other things. And the DP seems to be having a different strategy in the way he's amalgamating his politics. And if history serves me right, or my memory serves me, the politics of Kenya have almost moved around people, moved around figureheads, moved around Rigathi coming from a certain corner, uniting with this person. Let's look at Oka, for instance. We have Kalonzo Musyoka coming from Mukambani. We have Wetangula and Mudavadi, both coming from Western Kenya. We have Gideon Moi coming from Rift Valley. These are the talks of having Raila Odinga somewhere playing in between and all that. What do you think? How do you think of coalitions are going to form? And do you feel that the bid president then will be isolated as the coalitions are being formed? What do you think is the future of coalitions, political coalitions as they come up? Where do you see who and where?
It's true there has been tribal coalitions.
There's also been talks of Raila Odinga working with William Ruto.
And this is the politics that we want to change.
Okay.
The Serarak coalition, it's called Serarak coalition. It's a coalition of people with the tribal blocks. Kalonzo Musyoka has some little block in Lower Eastern. Musalia Mudavadi has a little bit of Vihiga and a bit of Kakamega. Tagula has a bit of Bungoma. Gideon Moi has nothing. These are guys who are being promised endorsement. They are waiting for the BBI. This BBI thing is about that Serarak coalition, by the way. Yeah? It's what the whole thing is all about. Creating 5 positions so that you can get the Serarak guys and sit them down to share those positions. But Kenyans are wiser people. Kenyans no longer care about those tribes. Kenyans want money in the pocket, and they don't care who does it.
Okay.
There was talk that we could, Raila Odinga was feeling a little bit uncomfortable in the handshake arrangement, and people are suggesting that he can team up with us. We said we have no problem. He can team up with us, only in as far as supporting us, and saying
not you supporting him.
No, not supporting him, and not having a government with him. We don't want. Yeah, once bitten, twice shy. But we don't mind. We don't mind his support. Yeah. The guy has a history of destroying governments and destroying parties. We wouldn't want him anywhere near the Hustler Nation.
Okay.
But if he wants to vote for William Ruto and ask his supporters to vote for William Ruto, we have absolutely no problem with that. I want to say the deputy president is not isolated.
Okay.
He's isolated in as far as tribal kingpins are concerned. The deputy president has a good connection with the people of Kenya. He has a huge alliance called the Hustler Nation.
Okay.
It's a formidable alliance.
So do you think he's going to be government on that route?
Yeah,
alone?
He will.
Okay.
And I ask myself, people have been saying the deputy president will not be there in 2022. Deputy president is finished. He is isolated. He is past tense. Yet, when we started engaging him as people from the mountain, the Kieleweke people have gone amok. They are crying. Why we are meeting him? Why are you concerned with the people meeting somebody who will not be there? Who will not be there in 2022? Why are you so worried that some leaders are engaging somebody who is isolated? Why? Why the concern? And they were saying that we from Central Kenya who hung around the deputy president are nothing. And the president is the only one who has a say in that region, and he'll come one day and will be nowhere, will be finished, and will not have a say. Why are they so worried when a few fellows who have no say, who have no direction,
with a fella who will not be there?
They are meeting a fellow who will not be there. I mean, why the panic? I can't understand.
Yes.
You say these are useless fellows. They have no sway. They talk for nobody. Uhuru is a ultimate kingpin for Central. It's only his voice that matters. These are fellows who are just, looking after their own stomachs. The day the president will come in the mountain, you will never hear of them again. They will be finished. And now it is 3 years in those statements. Yet those little fellows who have no sway, who have no mandate, who cannot persuade anybody, who are nobody in that community, are meeting another useless fellow who is isolated and who will not be there in 2022. And then now everybody is so concerned, these people should not meet, they should not take themselves, they should wait for him to come for them. Why are they negotiating? Why can't they talk to the current president? Why? That is the question I'm asking myself. That tells you the Hustler Nation is real. It's a serious movement, I can tell you. And stopping that movement
will be a big deal.
It's a huge task. And the guys whom I hear are supposed to stop that task, when I look at them, they have no idea.
You guys are starting another reggae, or now this is rumba.
They have no idea. No, as we are not in reggae, we are in the hustler movement. We are talking about 90% of the people of this country. Yeah, and we are joined in purpose. We have a similar purpose. And I want to say the deputy president has gotten it correctly, in my view. Bring people around in matters economy, agree on the new model of bottom-up, how to empower the common person, how to make sure that the ordinary person, Kenyan, is given an opportunity to sit on the high table, irrespective of your background, where you are born, where you come from. And it's a good model, and it's gaining a lot of traction. And that is why there's a lot of panic, by the way. All these other characters are talking about positions. When they meet is to divide positions. And we are telling the people, we talk. Those who are asking why we are meeting William Ruto, please, leave us alone to talk to William Ruto. Go and talk to the candidate of your choice. Yes, of course. If you are convinced that Raila Odinga is the right man, go and talk to him and agree what it is that you can do for the people of Kenya, and come and tell them. If it is those who want Moisan, go and find out from him what he has for this country. Those who are waiting for President Uhuru Kenyatta to tell them whom to back, go and tell the president to hurry up and tell you whom to back, so that you can start talking to that person. Or alternatively, ask the president to tell you to talk on your behalf. I mean, let everybody just deal with his own candidate. If we are with William Ruto, if he's useless, why are you bothered? If you think William Ruto is lost by meeting some little fellows from Central Kenya, and you don't like him, then you should be very happy he is pursuing the wrong strategy. Why are you trying to help a man you don't like to get on the right strategy? A guy who is droning, push him down. Why are you trying to get him out? I mean, there's a lot of deceit in this country. They know this guy has serious following. They just talk, and they can see the kind of engagement he's having with leaders on the economic model, on economic issues, building a coalition around issues, economic, building a coalition around issues of how to better the lives of the Kenyan people. It's gaining traction in a way that you cannot stop it. But we are saying, as we are ready, when they are, let them sit, agree on a candidate.
Muko tayari.
Tell us this is so and so. Sisi tuko tayari.
Ingia kazi. Tell us about Mara. What was happening in Mara? You're in Mara over the weekend?
Yeah, we were there. We went there on Friday, and we had, previously we had 62 members of parliament who met in my house.
Okay. Earlier.
And it's not because I'm the leader of that group. No, I was just...
You're just hosting them.
I was just given the privilege of making some chai and mandazi, as people talk. And my wife is a good cook. And I am being targeted a lot because I hosted that meeting. I'm seen like I'm the leader of that new strategy. I'm not the leader. I was just a convener for the day. In fact, I was a host, you know.
Wewe ni chai tu ulikuwa umeweka
chai na mandazi na nini you know. And we agreed. We had a very, very candid discussion, like 7 hours. And we agreed we are going for elections. And we looked at what is happening in the Mount Kenya region and the frustration and the helplessness of our people because of the economic destruction that has taken place in the last 8 years. And we started thinking about our people and what is the way forward. And since most of us have given up on this government, we decided now to start engaging on the next government. And the members who are there told us, and we were all in agreement, that when we listen to the people who have given us a job, they are all comfortable with the candidature of one William Ruto. Majority of the people of the mountain region are quite comfortable with his candidature because of his proven track record when he was in agriculture, when he was higher education, as deputy president, and also he has been there for them, and he has interacted with them, and he's a hard worker. And our people like people of hard work. So we found this an engagement of like-minded. So we agreed that since our people are quite happy with the candidature of William Ruto, we start engaging him of what his government will do for our people in matters economy, reviving the economy for our people, putting money into the pockets of our people. You know, the agricultural sector, you know, interventions that are required. So we elected an 11-member committee.
11 members?
Yeah, 11 members to engage the deputy president on matters economic. And we were clear in our mind that we are not going to engage him on matters political, about positions and all that. We agreed that we are going to have a discussion with him in 2 phases. Phase 1, the economic revival program for our people, a sort of Marshall Plan to restore our economy and various issues that disturb our people. Once we agree into that one, we'd go into phase 2 with him to discuss what role he would like us to play in the implementation of the agreed programs and interventions to restore the economy of our people. In terms of positions, what role would he want us to play in that government? But we agree that will come at the tail end. So once we did the economic, when we did the committee, we enlarged and chose 2 other committees to enrich the committee to be able to start having discussions with him. So we formed an economic committee, an economic revival committee, and agriculture and livestock value addition committee, those 2 committees. And we did ask them to prepare some basic document that can enable us start engagement with the deputy president. So we did request him for an appointment, which he granted, and we agreed that we needed 3 days away from the hustle and the bustle of the city, away from the cameras, away from the press, to be able to get into serious discussions. So we drove to the Mara, and he came with his economic team led by David D. Professor. And the first day, on Friday, up to the wee hours of the morning, he did present to us his bottom-up economic model and what he thinks would sort out this country. And the following day, on Saturday, we spent the whole day interrogating him and his team on that model. We had many questions. At the end of the day, we were very happy and we were very satisfied that he has what it takes and he has the right thinking and the right program and the right model to get this country back on track. So come Saturday night and Sunday morning, we gave him our specific issues from the region that we would want him to address in that economic model. Mostly the need for guaranteed minimum return fund to offer minimum prices for our cash crops, coffee, tea, milk, miraa, rice, pyrethrum, extra. We also did talk about provision of money for small-scale traders, interest-free, 10,000, 5,000, 15,000, 20, up to 30,000 for people to start their businesses. We did discuss that. We also, of course, discussed that we are very unhappy with the brutal evictions and demolitions of property belonging to our people that has been done by our government. And we wanted an arrangement, an agreement with him that we shall come up with some working program backed by law that eviction should not be done without a 3-year notice. And where people have put up buildings after being sanctioned by government and then the government later on decides that they need to come down for one reason or another, there must be full compensation.
Okay.
Those are things that are dear to our people, and we did discuss that. And we also agreed on a roadmap for the negotiations going forward.
Okay.
And we did tell him that those are ideas, but they are not enough. We need to go back to our people and get their views on how to enrich our proposal to him. So we are engaging, and we have agreed we will try to fast track the discussions and the engagements, enriching the document and fine-tuning so that maybe, God willing, by the end of the year, we'll have a working document that we can take to our people
and negotiate with it.
And say, this is what we have agreed with the Deputy President. Can we now back him for President? This is what we have agreed, that year 1 he'll do this, year 2 he'll do this, year 3, year 4, year 5. And by the way, we want to negotiate on a 5-year contract.
Okay.
Renewable.
That's interesting.
We don't want to do a 10-year. This 10-year thing is okay.
Mekata mambo ya 10 years. Okay. Acha tusikie mwananchi anasemaje kidogo. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Abdullahi Mohammed calling you from Mathira County.
Abdullahi, jambo.
Jambo sana my brother. Nasalamia mheshimiwa.
Asante, nimesalimika sana.
Asante sana. I also one time quoted you on the same show when you spoke about Murave.
Yes.
Well, my question is, I come from Mathira County and I'm a journalist by profession, and I've been observing what's happening in the country.
Yes.
UDA is not spoken about, or even we don't see the presence in the entire MFD of Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Isiolo, Tana River, Marsabit.
Yes.
What is the plan of UDA in this part of the world?
Yes.
Even though some of us will still blame the Deputy President as part of the Jubilee Government, because you remember he was an active member in the previous days, but maybe the current people are those that Philip Ocheng described 30 years ago, and I just quoted from one of the articles that appeared. So what is the plan for you at UDA in Northern Kenya? 1, 2, if the people of Kenya are talking of corruption, let's say NYS 1 and NYS 2, how many people participated? Because when you talk of Kabura going to a bank, how many people facilitated her withdrawing that amount of money? Because we tend to only believe, maybe blame the politician or one person who took money or this, but don't you think it is a system that is connected that Kenyans participate, whether it's through naivety or it is through corrupting themselves? Because if money is stolen from treasury, how many people are involved? A lot of people involved. If money is withdrawn from a bank, then withdrawing Kenya shillings 1 million in this country, you have to go and speak to your manager. When you withdraw, 100 million cash and you carry on a bag or a sack, don't you think Kenyans sometimes just blame the politicians, but they do not have this guts to say no, as a bank manager, as the CEO of the bank, as a bank teller, as a person who is, driving a car, to say no to the police in driving. So do we have a systemic culture failure in the country that was created from Kenyatta time up to today that is very systemic? Or you think when you guys come, to power, let's say Ruto is elected with his team, maybe some of us might even want to join him, but how do we change the culture as a country where people are so much rotten in terms of, quick money, making quick money, stealing from the public, either in those areas? So how do we change this culture in the country?
Asante sana Abdullahi. Hello, Jambo, good morning.
Jambo Bito, kwa habari ya leo.
Salama sana. Ongea na nani?
Unaongea na mtu anaitwa Eric Okodo kutoka Busia County.
Niambie mtu wa Busia.
Mimi sina swali, lakini ni comment tunataka kumake.
Haraka upesi.
Sisi kama wana UDA, sisi tumejipanga vizuri na mheshimiwa hapo vile ameongea.
UDA iko Busia.
Tuko tayari. UDA iko huko, unajua ni ile sasa hii deep state wanafikiria kwamba hakuna UDA pande hii. Lakini tumejipanga vizuri. Wao watu wa deep state watafute candidate yao, watulete candidate mapema.
Mko tayari?
Tuko tayari. By August 9 itakuwa second Tuesday kulingana na katiba. Tutakuwa tumemaliza hiyo candidate yao, waende nyumbani, watu waachie serikali. Sisi kama Hustler Nation tuendeshe serikali. Hiyo tu ndio nataka kusema kwa sasa. Alafu waambie mheshimiwa ya kwamba Busia sisi si watu ya ODM vile wanafikiria. hata hapa kwetu hapa ODM wameanza kuwa na wasiwasi, wameanza kuingia na baridi.
Okay.
Kwa sababu wheelbarrow sasa inabeba samaki kwa wingi kutoka Port Victoria. Kitu ambaye hawakuzoea kuona.
Okay.
Hiyo ndio maoni yangu.
Sasa asante sana ndugu yangu Abusia. Jambo, good morning.
Hello, how are you, Jalad?
Salama sana, how are you?
My name is Mwangi.
Niambie Mwangi.
I'm happy to hear from Mheshimiwa. Now I have one question for Mheshimiwa. We would to see Mr. Ruto, the president, come 2022. Now the issue is, who will he plug as the deputy? You know that will determine whether he will be able to succeed as the president. So that is not predictable as for now. But that's a very big issue when it comes to Kenya. You know, the president will determine whether he will be elected. So can Mheshimiwa predict for us the lineup that will come? Yes.
Okay, asante sana. Right, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerard.
Habari yako?
Salama sana.
Nazungumza na nani?
This is Martin Warui.
Kutoka wapi?
Kutoka Kasarani.
Okay, niambie watu wa Kasarani mbio tukisonga.
Tuko salama sana. Let me first disclose my interest is that Mheshimiwa and I attended the same high school, Kenyaka High School.
Yeah. Ni old boys.
Yeah. And also he was my PO huko nyumbani Gishugu constituency. So congratulating for standing with the people of the region and also for his service. Yeah. Now I have a few questions for Mheshimiwa. Number one, is this issue, does he think that there is going to be, voter apathy in Mount Kenya? Number one, because of perhaps, the fact that our people or people from Mount Kenya have been perhaps disappointed by this government. That is number one. Does he foresee voter apathy? Then number two, when it comes to cost of doing business, because that also affects people from that region a lot.
Yes.
Other than the issue of taxation, what are they looking at issues like, addressing the cost of energy, which is affecting, small manufacturers, and also this issue of licenses, making sure that there are not so many licenses required by business people to operate, streamlining that area. Then lastly, I want to ask the issue of, now that we have seen what has happened in the Jubilee party, the implosion that has happened in that party, what is the fate of political parties in Mount Kenya? Does this foresee a situation whereby we are going to have a lot of candidates standing as independent candidates, and also, small parties coming up because, people cannot, have a lot of confidence joining big political parties? And how does that affect, the marketing of UDA? Okay.
All right, Jambo, good morning. Hello? Yes, how is sir?
Hey, VP.
Yes, salama sana. This is, I'm saying the call is coming from the UK. Hello?
Habari bwana Bitok.
Salama sana boss, niambie.
Mimi na kuna mgeni mheshimiwa mzee kwa na big Matthew. Lakini nataka tu kwa sasa tunaenda I just wanted to know what to do about it.
Okay, network yako iko na shida. Jambo, good morning.
Good morning Bitok.
Salama sana, niambie. Haraka?
Uko salama?
Kabisa, tukimbie mbio.
Nauliza mheshimiwa hapo, let him tell us the position that David Ndii took yesterday about amnesty of corruption.
Okay.
Nataka kusikia maoni yake. Asante sana.
Jambo, good morning. Haraka tukisonga.
Good morning Gerard.
Good morning to you.
Ni Martin from Kikuyu.
Okay, yes Martin, haraka.
Mimi ningetaka tu kuambia Rigathi Gachagua keep on the good work. At least Mount Kenya imeshapata leader. Watu wengine wote ni makaos. Thank you.
Yeah. Jambo, good morning. Haraka tukisonga.
Good morning, Gerald Pitok na Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua.
Salama sana. Naongea na nani?
Unaongea na Wendo naipika kutoka Kapket.
Mtu wa Kapket. Mtu wa wheelbarrow juu ya mti.
Mtu wa wheelbarrow juu ya mti. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua. Unajua pande huu ni Asla Nation. Hata saa hii tunaisukuma kabisa wheelbarrow mashinani. Tunaitumia wheelbarrow kubeba mbolea shambani. Tunaitumia wheelbarrow kufua nguo tunaitumia wheelbarrow, kila kitu. Na wheelbarrow kwa Gerald Bitok haijawahi fanya accident tangu iundwe, haijawahi fanya accident. Uweze utaipata wheelbarrow akifanya accident. Tena hiyo wheelbarrow haitaki parking, haitaki mafuta. Hata wakina mama wakisukuma huo wanaisukuma kabisa. Hata upande huu wetu wa Nakuru unaipata wakina Senator Susan Pika ambayo tutamchagua 2022 ague governor, yeye anaisukuma kabisa. Hata wakina mama kama hao wakishika huo wanaisukuma. Wacha nikupongeze kabisa Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, kazi yako kule Mathira inaonekana, na wewe umesimama kabisa na DP. Hata saa hii wewe ndio tegemeo letu kabisa. Tukiangalia wewe na DP tunajua kila maneno iko shwari. Hata saa hii wacha nikuulize tu swali moja. Hata wewe ulitusaidia kwa shule nyingine inaitwa Senendate. Ulitutumia wakina Francis wote wakatuletea pesa chungu nzima, ukatusaidia upande huu wa Kuresoi South. Na kupongeza sana.
Asante sana
Sasa nakuuliza tu swali moja Mheshimiwa Rigathi. Mpinzani wenu ama mpinzani wetu 2022 ni nane? Kwa sababu nikiangalia Team Zeralak unaipata Gideon Moi, hakuna. Unaipata Mudavadi, haifiki rangi yenu. Ukipata Weta, hakuna. Sasa mpinzani wetu tukiwa team Tanga ni nani 2022? Na ni parliament, wacha nikujie parliament. Hata juzi kwa hii ama jana kwa hii maneno ya PPI, ukipata kule bungeni, ukipata Mathira anasema hakuna no amendment itafanywa kule bungeni. Sasa nakuuliza Mheshimiwa Gerald Bitok, sasa saa hii unaiona bunge ikiwa independent ama siku hizi judiciary ndio independent? Karibu Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua, ukitutombelea pande huu tunakukaribisha sana.
Thank you, tutatembea.
Asante. Simu ya mwisho, jambo.
Vipi Bitok?
Salama sana. Hii ni simu ya mwisho, tafadhali.
Nataka kuuliza Mheshimiwa, why are these proposals being postponed to 2022? What is so magical that will happen in 2022 and not now?
Okay, proposals gani za uchumi?
Alafu pia ningetaka Mheshimiwa clarify, in the event Ruto is not elected, what happens to these proposals to the people wa region ya Mount Kenya? Asante.
Okay, asante sana. Haya, naomba ikuwe hiyo simu ya mwisho kuchukua, kwa sababu naona tuko na dakika chache ambazo zimekuja na kuna kitu ambacho tujaiangalia. Nataka tuende kwanza alafu turudi kwa simu. Let's talk very briefly about Mount Kenya politics. Is the mountain restless or is erupting or is just restless?
No, the mountain is good.
Okay.
The mountain has no issue. The mountain, of course, is restless in the sense that they have no money in the pocket.
Shida ya mlima ni pesa pekee.
Pesa. Kuna shida kubwa. Biashara zetu zote zimeharibika.
Ana maharibu biashara Mheshimiwa.
Programs ambaye ni mbaya. Unajua vitu ya watu wetu ilichomwa huko Nyamakema na Matiang'i. Akasema ni counterfeit. Watu wetu wamebomolewa huko Kariobangi. Wakati ya corona, wakati ya mafuriko. Maduka zimefungwa. Na watu wako na shida mingi sana ya kiuchumi. Mali ya watu wetu imeuzwa kwa sababu hajalipwa na serikali. Hiyo ndio shida iko kwa mlima, na ndio sisi tunajaribu kutatua. Kwa mlima hakuna shida ya siasa. We don't care about positions, about leadership.
Hakuna shida ya siasa. Nimeona jana kumekuwa na cheche za maneno between Kiunjuri and Ngunjiri.
Hiyo ni kawaida kwa siasa. Sasa
kilewe kiko pale.
Hiyo ni kawaida kwa siasa.
Siasa ya siku.
Kelele iko kila pahali. Kelele itaendelea. It's part of politics. What is important is to focus.
Okay.
So mlima iko sawa na tunajipanga.
Okay.
And I would like to tell the last caller that these programs are for the next government.
Okay.
The current government is busy with the BBI and handshake.
But people have argued that the DP is part of this current government.
No, DP is not. DP has been put aside. Everybody knows.
Okay.
Who doesn't know? And the one was saying that you can blame him. You can't blame him. If he was there, you would blame him. But he has been shut out. You know, he has been shut out. So these proposals, he's saying what happens if Ruto is not elected, what happens to the proposals? Then they die. That is why you do proposals for people to elect you. Tutategeneza those proposals. We take them to the people. If they find they are good proposals, they elect them. If they find that they are not good proposals, they elect somebody else. And that's why we are saying, wengine pia walete proposals out. Okay. So that people can compare. And ningetaka kumwambia the one who was asked who is our opponent. We are also asking, who is our opponent? we would like these Serelak fellows to make up their mind quickly, watuletee mpinzani. Yule mpinzani sisi tungetaka kukutana na yeye ni Raila. Hiyo ndio mpinzani mzuri kwa sababu ako na wafuasi kiasi. Na pia hiyo chapter yake tungetaka tuifunge. Na hiyo chapter yake tunataka tuifunge kwa debe. Kuna yule ameuliza mambo ya deputy president. That one we leave it to Dr. Ruto, atafute yule jamaa wanaweza fanya kazi na yeye. For now we are not focusing so much on that. We first want to focus on the economic revival of the country. Once we agree on how to revive the economy and how to put money into people's pockets, then and how to improve lives, we can have a discussion as to who could be his running mate. In any case, we also don't know what will happen to this BBI. If it creates more positions, then the whole thing gets a little bit
then you have a bigger bedroom.
Yeah, you have to look at this.
But for now,
this a man from Northeastern is talking about UDA haijafika huko. I'll give a feedback to the Secretary General. I'll call her from here. Please. To say that UDA has not reached there because I know we had a meeting. Now coordinators were appointed, interim coordinators, to start registration. So if those matters have not reached the Northeastern area, I'll give a feedback so that they can find out. About the NYS, it is true. The issue of fighting corruption, it's not that we don't have enough laws. That we are told BBI will create laws for fighting corruption. That's a lie. We have sufficient laws. The issue is that we have selective investigations and poor and shoddy investigations. If you remember, we were told that 9 billion was lost in NYS. When they took people to court, they were charged only with 90 million. So what happened to the rest of the money? Shoddy and poor investigations. In any case, the criminal justice system, the DCI and the EACC are lax, and they are also investigating selectively. And they are dealing with politics instead of dealing with crime, instead of dealing with corruption. And they are just targeting people who belong to a certain faction and charging them with trumped up charges where they are leaving the real crooks and culprits to go scot-free. Yeah, that is a problem.
Someone also talked about the corruption amnesty that was proposed by
I have not seen.
Who was in your meeting as well?
He was in our meeting. We did not discuss matters corruption. We discussed the economic model. I have not seen the context in which he said that, but he is advising us on the economic model. He's not involving us on the policy. That cannot be our policy on corruption. We would like corruption to be dealt with. And not just today's corruption. We must go back to 1963 and deal with all those things, corruption. So although David D is advising us on matters of economic interventions, his views are not necessarily ours on each and every matter.
He also has his own views.
He is entitled to have his own views, but they are not necessarily ours.
All right.
Was the other question?
There's someone else who asked Eric Mwangengege, says, ask Gachagua my imaginary question. If you are offered one ministry to pick and lead in the future, which ministry would he pick, why, and what specific things would he do differently?
Well, I think we'll cross the bridge when we reach there. But I'm passionate in matters agriculture. Because I think it holds the key to sorting out the problems for this country. If we get the right prices for our cash crops, there will be a ripple effect in the country. Like if we paid 150 shillings for coffee, 70 shillings for milk, 100 shillings for tea per kg, that money would sort out all our problems, and farmers will have extra money to put up houses, to buy cars. There will be a ripple up effect on the economy. So that is an area that I'm quite passionate about. But for now, we don't want to think about ministries. We first want to get the right framework. We want to agree on what is the economic model, what are the interventions to bring about economic revival. And
that's why your business
let me also tell you, I'm not interested in leading poor people. I'm not interested in leading people who are crying all the time. I would like to lead people who are rich, people who are empowered, people who are happy. You know, I would rather step out of leadership, than continue in the present situation we are in. I don't know what pride one would have to lead Kenya now. The way it is, there's no pride. You know, everybody is crying. Everybody is in trouble. You don't want to lead people who are always having a handkerchief to wipe out their tears. Every time you meet people, you have to listen to problems and their woes and their agonies. I would like to attend weddings. I would like to attend parties. I would like to attend celebrations. I would like to be with people who are empowered and who have some money to spend in leisure and in merrymaking. That is what would make you satisfaction as a leader. But leading people who are always crying. Haram-based to lead by collecting money for school fees, collecting money for hospital bills, collecting money for this and that is a dog's life. It's not a good life.
Okay.
We would want to lead people who are empowered. And that is why our focus, before we can talk about positions we want to occupy in the next government, let's first sort out the people and empower them. Okay. Once they are empowered and they are okay,
we can have another conversation.
Then we can have a conversation on how we can lead them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There's a question that has been pushed there. You'll allow me to ask because it's been pushed. I'm seeing on YouTube. A guy called David upstairs says, ask Mheshimiwa about his corruption allegations that have been he brought up the other day. What do you have to say about that?
Those are all lies meant to intimidate me.
Okay.
Because I was with President Uhuru Kenyatta for 18 years. I was his PA. Nobody said I was corrupt then. When I campaigned for him in 2017, nobody said I was corrupt. When I spent money to hire vehicles to put billboards in support of his presidency, nobody asked me where I had gotten the money from. I have earned every cent that I have. The issues around me is that where did I get my money from? And nobody is saying you stole from here or you stole from there. I'm asking where did you get it from? I have accounted for each and every cent. I have earned my money rightfully. What is happening is that somebody had thought that if they freeze my money and bring allegations around me and harass me,
you'll turn around.
I'll turn around and go and kneel before them and apologize and join them. I cannot kneel down before anybody. I can only kneel down before the Almighty God, and I will not do it. I am not intimidated. I am not bothered. They can continue harassing me, and even they want to prepare charges, that are fabricated about money laundering, about this and that. Those are things that you get put on people because you cannot criminalize enterprise.
Yeah.
That you ask me if I paid Bitok 10 million, why was I paying him? That is none of your business.
Yeah.
If my 10 million was earned rightfully, what I do with it is my business.
Yes.
And what has killed enterprise in this country? Even this thing that you cannot...
You decide now to give me 10 million, I open a bigger studio.
Yeah, that is
your problem.
If you cannot withdraw $1 million shillings without explaining where you are taking it, it's your money. When you are making this money, nobody was asking you questions. That is why people have even stopped taking money to the bank. Because you want to have freedom to use your money.
Yeah.
We cannot criminalize enterprise. We must allow people to make money. We must allow people to do trading. What I did in my case, and these are the issues that I'm being asked about, I had a business model where I have like 10 people working together. They look for business. I go, I guarantee them money in the bank. They get paid, they pay me. So I'm being asked, why are so many people paying you after they have been paid? It's because I gave them money for business. And it's a business model. And I did it with a lot of young people. I empowered very many young people. And today they are very successful businessmen. Those are the issues around me, Not that I did work somewhere, I was paid and I did not do it. No. Why were you giving money to X? Why were you giving money to I? Why was Y paying you money? Those transactions.
Those stories of the issues around transactions. Okay.
Transactions. And it's just a business model that I had, and it's a good model. And that was during the Kibaki's time. Because there was a lot of business, I paired with a lot of young people. They will look for business, they have no funding. I fund them. And when they are paid, they pay me and pay me some interest. And those transactions is what is being questioned. There's nothing else. But when they went to investigate, they found that all those businesses have been done perfectly and paid. The issues is, why are you paying Rigathi Gachagua? And why Rigathi Gachagua? Because he supports William Ruto. There are many other people here
who doing the same thing.
Who wants billions in this country, and nobody is asking them where they got money from. There are people who own this town. Nobody is asking them. There are people who own land, almost a quarter of this country. We would like to hear a question, them being asked where they got that land from. Nobody is asking them. But because I have assisted a few young people, to do business, and legitimate business in this country. I stood surety for them. I guaranteed them in a bank. They are given loan. They go and work. They get profit. They give me some of it. They give me a bit of it. Others, I fire them directly. They get paid. They pay me back with a bit of interest. That is business. Yeah. It's enterprise. How do you criminalize enterprise? There's nothing I've done that is wrong. And that is why you find it's just stories for the last 1.5 years. Oh,
nothing tangible.
Nothing. Oh, Gachagua has done 12 billion. Where? Where is a crime in transacting? Is it a crime to lend people money? Is it a crime to be paid back? There's no crime. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all witch hunt. It's where the government has decided to use the criminal justice system to manage politics by persecuting leaders. But I refuse to succumb. And I will not succumb.
You will not succumb.
Even if I'm taken to court, I'll be taken in the fullness of time. I'll be vindicated and I'll be set free. And it will be there for history and for posterity. And I will not be intimidated.
You have any properties that have been seized by government?
They attempted to seize my properties, but the courts will not allow it. You know, this country, and that is why we must protect the independence of the judiciary. This is a country of law. It's a country that is governed by the rule of law. We cannot allow the government to run amok and harass people for no reason. When they try to take my money, and I accounted every cent in court, they are in shock. You know, you go and make allegations that these are proceeds of crime. You ask, where did the men steal? They nowhere. We are suspecting. How suspicion? How does suspicion become something actionable? You must quantify it. So I have trust that the criminal justice system will vindict me in the fullness of time and will protect the right to private property and legally acquired wealth. You know, and we must allow people to grow. We cannot criminalize enterprise. We must allow Kenyans who are enterprising to do business and get wealth. And that wealth will trickle down. Like now, you see, I employed over 700 people. 700 people at an average of 5 people per home is 3,500. Since they brought these allegations and put them in the papers, all those companies of mine cannot do business. All those people are now at home. I relieved all of them. I was left with only 8. 692 people are jobless.
So you now
because of politics, negative politics. These are people who are doing business. I was doing good business. They were working. They were paying tax. They were able to feed their families. But because of negative politics, those people are jobless.
Okay. Lastly, is the parliament independent? I think I forgot that. Is the parliament independent? That was from Weldon. And that guy, you need to make that guy the brand ambassador of UDA. That's if you think this. You put a wheelbarrow on top of a tree. No, not in Busia.
The one I saw somewhere.
South Rift.
Yeah, I saw. And even the guy in Busia, I want to encourage them. Yes. The hustle and nationalism. The hustle and nationalism is the way to go. And the way you have said, waleta ya subuhi tuwamalizie mapema. I agree with you. Hata kwetu kwa mlima. It's just like Busia tunasema walete mapema tumalizane. You know? And it will be a good contest, I'm sure.
So independence of Parliament?
Parliament was doing well until the handshake. You see, we talk when you kill opposition. You make a country stop. You know, no government is perfect. Even the one we are going to form will not be perfect. We would want very strong and credible opposition to keep the government in check. Because there's nothing called government. Government is people. Yes. And people have weaknesses. Like any other, there's nobody who doesn't have weaknesses. Government needs to be put in check. You need a very strong opposition for oversight. So when we killed the opposition, when we brought the handshake, and we brought the handshake to government, there's nobody to criticize the government. In fact, it is some of us. Although we are in government, we are in government, we are in Jubilee, we are playing some little opposition role, although we have no mandate, just to keep things moving. When the coffee is paid badly, we say this is wrong, tea, milk, and we made a lot of noise, and some reforms are being done in the agricultural sector, because we played some opposition role, because the real opposition was not there. It is the handshake killed Kenyan opposition. And that is what has killed this country and the economy. You need a strong and vibrant opposition. And that is why ourselves, we are happy to have Raila Odinga as our opponent, so that we can beat him and he go to opposition and do proper opposition.
You don't want any other opponent?
No, the others but the others are jokers. You know this is a contest, it's not a joke. Right. You want a real contest, and a real contest is with the real people. Others are jokers. And,
you're spoiling for a contest.
No, we are spoiling for a contest because you also want to enjoy the contest and the outcome.
You have to enjoy the game.
Yeah, the game. And when you win, you want to feel nice about it. Because if you just
don't
win,
go around competing with kids.
Yeah, you don't go running a race. You don't want to compete with people. There's no contest. Okay. You want a real contest with a real fellow, with a real guy. So that after you are winning, you can savor the victory.
You can feel good about it.
You can feel good about it.
With a few injuries, at least you're happy.
We won't think of the balance.
Sawa, tukifunga kiosk, why Can the DP resign if he's sidelined? And also, as you speak, I don't want to interrupt you from that, you also speak to Kenyans, to Kifunga.
The DP will not resign because he was elected by the people of Kenya. And I have never heard the people of Kenya asking him to resign. He has a mandate of 8 million Kenyans. Direct vote. It's only those 8 million people who can ask him to resign. Because a few fellows, Akina Murade, Akina Tuju, who are not elected by anybody themselves. You know, this is a tragedy of the whole thing. Fellows who have not been elected by somebody asking somebody who has been elected to resign. William Ruto is not an appointee of President Uhuru Kenyatta. He is elected by the people of Kenya.
So he'll resign
only
when he wants.
people, he will not resign. He'll serve his full term because the people of Kenya gave him a 5-year mandate. And he'll serve his term. Even if he has no responsibilities, he will do the little that he is able to do. Anytime the president needs him, he's available. If he's given any task, he will do it.
If he's not,
he will just stay. He remains respectful to his boss. He doesn't complain. He doesn't rat. He doesn't make it impossible for Uhuru Kenyatta to run government. He has given him space. And that's the way it's supposed to happen. Once the elections reach, he will look for a different mandate from the people of Kenya. A direct mandate to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. Finally, I want to ask the people of Kenya to be patient and to have resilience and to have respect for the rule of law. There is future ahead, and the future from where I sit looks bright. There are men and women who are not sleeping, trying to fix this country, trying to come up with a proper economic model that can empower our people, that can make people have quality life, and they should not give up. I know many Kenyans, there is somebody here who said there could be voter apathy because of poor governance and the kind of problems people are having. I don't think that will happen. If we get a proper economic model, our people live on hope. They'll come out to create a better future. You know, I am sure, I am almost convinced. Once we present a good economic model and give solutions to the problems in this country, I'm sure the people will come and vote for that government so that it can be of use to them in the future. So finally, I wish everybody well. I want to ask the people of Kenya to take care of themselves. This COVID-19 is real. For us even to come and lead them, we need them to be alive. So we're asking them to take care of themselves. I know life is very difficult. I urge those who are able to help those who are not able. Those who have a little bit more to share with those who have a little bit less. I want to see a situation where Kenyans love each other and come in aid of each other in this very, very difficult time.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, Mheshimiwa. It was a pleasure having you, and thanks for what you've said. There are a lot of comments there. I wish I could even say we had to cut off calls, but the feedback is good, and we wish you guys all the best, and we hope that you're going to do these things that you're telling us about. You know, the problem, the tragedy of Kenyan politics is it's easier to speak than to do. When we vote, I'm among the people who campaigned for Jubilee. We never slept in our houses. You know, we almost got pneumonia. So when you look at things that are happening right now, we feel the pain. So I hope that this will not repeat again. And I hope that we set the right precedents for this country. Like I say, we cannot afford to have our children have this discussion that me and you are having about betrayal, about governments not functioning. Let our children have another conversation. I mean, for you, it's grandchildren. For me, it's children. We bequeath our children and grandchildren a country they can be proud of, and they'll never have an opportunity to have a conversation around tribes, around who betrayed you, around who lied to, around the government not working. So, you guys, when you get opportunity, you'll make this happen. Until then, we can only pray for you, and we hope you're going to survive enough to be in 2022. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope to see you again soon. And I wish you all the best in Mathira. Naona watu wako wanasema mfanya kazi, ground iko chonjo, so endelea kuchapa namna hiyo. The tacklers who have been in charge, we really appreciate you. The guys on YouTube, I wish I could read the comments from YouTube, but there are a lot, but I have tried to answer the questions that you've asked. Also on Facebook, I appreciate your time. It has been a pleasure for the calls which have come in. We appreciate the callers. And also pole wale ambao walipiga wakapata tumefunga. We apologize. We'll pick this again tomorrow on Thursday. This has been The Tackle, and The Tackle ends now. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.